Okay, folks, here are the steps. Our trap's going to close. I have a have-a-heart trap here. I've had this thing for 40 plus years, and it was old then. The reed switch will trigger. So I have one end of the reed switch on the door. The other end here is on the side of the cage, which is attached to the Raspberry Pi. So this one is attached to our Pi. We have a camera, relay switch, and we have a lamp over here. I'll show you how to break this down to a bare minimum too. So once the reed switch triggers, we'll turn on the lamp. I have this in the attic. I want to be able to see what I caught. Snap a picture. We'll turn the lamp off. Upload the picture to Cloudinary, although you could just run this all as a local server. You don't need to do that. We'll use TensorflowJS to classify what we found. And this is all running in the back end, so most examples you'll find are running in the browser. So no Canvas or any of that stuff. If we catch Betsy the bunny, we'll use Twillio and send me a text message. If we catch Ralph the rodent or anything we cannot classify, which will be everything else, every other attic pet, would send my wife a text. The real version doesn't do that. Just text me. And then you relocate the critter, right? So you can you put it somewhere else. And the idea is, I did this because I didn't want, one, to have to run up in the attic every day in our old farmhouse to check, and two, last thing I'd want to do is forget and have something up there. So about 6 years ago, the first version I did, and it goes off that night. And my wife knew I was doing it, but she didn't know, the AI stuff or any of that. OpenCV, I think, at the time, which I still use now. I'll have another video on that coming up soon, running on the Raspberry Pi, which is cool, and in C++. All thanks to Q Engineering. If you're interested in that, go to qengineering.eu. They're amazing. So anyway, it sends Jamie a text, and it's just fangs and claws inside the side of the cage here, almost like it was posing to be ominous for the camera. Very dim little teeny light I had, a little candle light. So I go up there assuming I have a bat, maybe gremlin, not the cute gremlin at the beginning of the movie, those scary gremlins in the middle of the movie once they got wet. And I had neither of those. It was a little baby squirrel, and just with some great lighting to make it look horrible. Middle of winter, so a little baby squirrel ends up living in the garage, eating puppy chow for the rest of the winter till it's warm enough for it to go outside. Okay, so folks, I understand there's a whole bunch of, I'm not going to say better ways, but maybe cleaner ways to do this. But it's meant to be a a learning tool. So let's start. Let's go with Ralphie first. I mean with Betsy first. If you don't need any of this, you want to play with the code, just go grab the code, right? And if you go to the README, you come over to the README. I mean, the bare minimum you're going to need is a trap, but you don't even have to buy one, right? You could just make a trap or something, right? Some reed switch, right? So some type of switch, and then a Raspberry Pi. It could be a Pi 4 or 3. It could be a Pi 0. So here's a Pi 0. And I've got a Node on this. I also have Docker on this, right? So that's just on a little Pi 0. Now it's an ARM 11 processor, but it's V6. So you'd have to go down to probably Node 11, I think. 11 or 12 would be the highest version of Node you can put on, but it works great. And then the actual steps. Now, again, I'll go through all of this in the next video. But if you don't need that help and you just want to do it, then just jump right to this. Okay. So let's get out of here, and let's fire up the Node server here. So nodemon app.js, and let's start with Betsy. All right. So I already triggered the trap here. So I'm going to let this down easy because the bulldogs at my feet lose their mind when this slams. So that goes down, and it classifies, and it said, hey, it's 83% sure that it caught Betsy, so it sent me a text. And I assume this should ding in a minute, which it just did. And voila, right? So it sent me a text. All right, now the fun part. We'll text Jamie. Now I could pick Flower up and take a picture of Flower, little French bulldog, and it would text Jamie too, because if it doesn't know what it caught, then it texts her anyway. But this way it'll say it caught Ralphie. Oh, by the way, Ralph's cool. I'm in Maine, and I found this on Amazon. Let's bring it over to this one. And I don't know if you can see that. Maybe you see it better over here. It's the Douglas Toy Company, and they're in New Hampshire, which I thought was pretty cool. I don't know if he came with the name Ralph, or I just named him Ralph. I'm not sure, but it's Ralph. All right, there you go, buddy. All right, let's catch Ralph. Now, instead of slamming this thing, I'm just going to use a different end of a reed switch to trigger it. So we'll go right there. And you can see it was 90% sure, 93% sure it caught Ralph, and Jamie just got a text message, and she's probably showing it to the people in the meeting, and they're getting a chuckle out of it, I hope. Okay, so there's the idea, folks. I get it that you don't need to you don't need to classify anything here for this purpose. Although it does, if you needed to make a decision on what you needed to do, even if you are sending a picture with that picture. The other thing is we're going to be using TensorFlow and classification. I don't know if we're going to use TensorFlow or OpenCV, but we're going to be using this with a LoRa project that we're doing. So I just got a grant. I'm going to set up some commercial LoRa node or gateways, and then students are going to be setting up remote nodes, and they'll want to classify animals maybe they found, or maybe the health of plants or things like that. And you can't send a picture over LoRa. So this way they can just send what they found, or whatever state they're looking at. The other thing too is the anemometer back here. That's a different grant. That's actually pretty cool. So that's another grant that we're doing. That's throughout the state of Maine. And if you go to my website, the website I have at SMCC, it's a work in progress. So I just kind of got going on it. If you go to the weather chunk, what's going to happen eventually is the students all over Maine will put an apple on the map, and you'll be able to toggle whether you want to see the temperature, rainfall, wind speed, or what have you. But different middle schools will put apples on the map with the weather information, which is kind of cool. This one just happens to be locally here at my house. Okay, so let's close that up. All right, so that's good. I'll end this one here. If you don't need any help going forward and you want to play with it, good luck. If you ever had questions, anybody can email me. It's just prichardson@smccme.edu. So feel free to send me an email if you had any questions at all. And I'll break all this down, and I'll make it nice and neat over here. Get rid of the cage, get it out of the way, and I'll show you how to get the whole thing set up and running on a pod.